I just wrote an exam that went terribly, and here's how I'm dealing with it. So immediately there's anger, there's sadness, frustration. I could have done this better. I should have done that. All these should haves, could haves, would haves, but you didn't. And now you're sitting here in this situation, and the reality is what it is, and there's nothing you can do about it. And you're feeling helpless, and you're feeling if only I can just go back and do this, and you're trying to snatch at reality. Maybe it's not as bad as I thought it went, or maybe my reality isn't actually as bad. But really, the first step to overcome this is going to be to accept that the current reality is the truth, to stop trying to make excuses about it, to stop trying to reason through why it went wrong and why it's not your fault, to stop trying to think about what you should have done, to stop trying to think about how the results maybe not going to be as badly as you thought. The first step is to accept that this is your reality, and you did bugger the exam up, and now you're sitting here, or test, or whatever it is, or you had this failure, and now you're sitting here and you have to deal with it. And the instinct is to deny this thing that had happened, or to play it down, or to pass it off. The first step is to accept that this is your reality now, and to take full accountability that this is the reality only and only because of your actions. And that's what I'm doing. This exam that I've just stuffed up, it is as a consequence only of the things that I have done. It's a tough pill to swallow, but it's a necessary one if you are to move forward in any productive manner. I've written down a few other points as I was trying to work through this failure, as I was trying to work through my reality. What is my reality now? I was trying to work through this and trying to solve my problem. I've written a few points about how to deal with failure better, and I'm going to share with you what I'm doing to deal with this failure of mine. And now this is obviously not just theoretical. I've written this down and a hypothetical scenario, and it's not that relatable. This is real. I've just come out of a terrible exam. No other person's fault but my own. And now I must deal with the consequences. Okay, so first step is to accept that this is your reality now. Don't try and dwell on it. Don't dwell on it. Don't think, oh, it's so terrible. It's like, go on. And don't try and excuse it. Don't try and pass on the blame. Don't try and play down the scenario. Don't play up the scenario either. Be real and accept your reality. It is what it is, and it is done. That's the first step. Second step is to take accountability. It is what it is only because of you. You were the only person who touched that exam script, and you are the only person who can be held responsible for the result that will come of it. It is fully your responsibility. And I'm saying your, but I'm also speaking to myself here. Okay. Now, once you've accepted it and you've taken full-on ownership, you poised in a way that you can now address really what went wrong in a honest way, a realistic way, such that you can glean lessons from it. Okay, so the reason why it's important to hold yourself accountable and to accept reality is that now, if you take full responsibility and accountability for the result, it means that going forward, you can improve maximally. If you shrug responsibility, you can't improve on that particular thing that you've shrugged off because it's not your fault, so how could you improve? So it's crucial that you take full responsibility if you are to improve. So I've taken full responsibility or at least I've somewhat convinced myself that I have. Of course, there's things going on in the subconscious and unconscious that I'm not aware of. But at least consciously, I've taken full responsibility, and I'm assessing my scenario and trying to identify exactly what went wrong. And so then I can learn from that. So was it a lack of preparation? In my case, it wasn't. Was it? And that's just being real with myself. So I'm not trying to excuse it and saying, oh, I was actually prepared. No, I had a terrible performance. I was prepared. I did enough. I went into the exam with good intent, with focus, mental clarity, and I came out a mess. And what happened from the start to the end is the problem in my case. So you need to identify what your issue is. Okay. Picture this thing, run it through clearly in your mind, run through the exam again, run through the weeks leading up, and lay everything out for yourself in the most realistic way. Take full accountability for anything that's happened in the process and identify what it was exactly that went wrong. Maybe it was a series of mistakes. Identify those and fully take them on board. Okay, and then the step is to learn from them. So internalize these mistakes, understand that this is actually what happened, this is the truth, and how now can I avoid any similar mistakes in the future. Okay, I'm going to be thinking about systems that I can set in place that will set me up probabilistically to not do that again. I'm going to think about preparation things that I can do to avoid my mistake. And even though I say I was prepared, maybe it was a fact that I was prepared in terms of content, say, and I could answer questions, but when time pressure was introduced, I couldn't do it. So maybe that's the problem. So maybe it is actually a problem of preparation, but the thing is that you have to go through this yourself, go through this honest process and identify what went wrong so that you can set systems in place so that you don't do it again. Okay, so that's the other step. And then now you've accepted it, you've taken responsibility, you've learned your lesson, you have a plan going forward. Now you need to forgive yourself and you need to drop it. You need to stop dwelling on it. There's nothing that can be done. You've accepted this reality for what it is. And now you need to forgive yourself. The fact that you're upset now is proof that you care. You cared when you were writing. Otherwise, now you wouldn't be upset. It doesn't translate that you can be upset now but not trying then. So you were trying. Okay? So you were trying, you tried hard, you did your best in that particular situation with the knowledge that you had. So in that point in time, you were doing your best to execute on a particular task. You didn't execute effectively. Again, when I say you, I'm also talking to myself. I didn't execute effectively, but I was trying my best. So I need to forgive myself so that I can move forward. Think about if you were dealing with a friend and you were giving them advice. You would tell them to forgive themselves. And if you want to be a friend to yourself, you should forgive yourself too. Okay, so you need to forgive yourself and move on from this. How can you now move forward into the next moment, into the next few days, into the coming hours that can set you up best for your next challenge? This is now about, it's a mess. It is what it is. I've accepted it. I've taken accountability. I've learned my lesson. And now I'm going to smash the next thing that's going to come my way. And I'm going to keep smashing everything that comes my way after that. I care a lot, and I'm going to keep caring, and I'm going to keep iterating on my processes. Failure is inevitable. I'm going to fail, but I'm going to fix what went wrong, and I'm going to move forward in a productive manner. And then, the next time something comes my way, I'm going to recognize it for what it is. And instead of it giving me a slap, I'm going to slap the shit out of it, and I'm going to move forward, and I'm going to achieve going forward. Not because I'm trying to make up for a loss, because that means you're still attached to that loss, but because everything that you should be doing in life should be to maximize your effort and your input into that. So forget the output, always maximize the input. So now you're going to slap the next thing that comes your way, because you are going to keep giving maximum effort. And if it so happens to slap you instead, you go through this process again and you keep moving forward. You only lose once you eventually die. That's when life is done. Until then, it's not done, and your problems are less significant than you think they are. So you might as well forget about it, learn your lessons, take accountability, move forward, and make the best out of what's to come.